Welcome back, my butterfly kaleidoscope, to One Hook, Two Hands. This is Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands. And today we are taking a trip back to Blanket Land, and I am going to talk to you about my making and finishing my birth year temperature blanket. So if you are new here, welcome. I like to call my subscribers butterflies because butterflies bring me hope and joy, and each and every one of you bring me hope and joy. I am recording this on April the 8th, and I say that because, guys, I saw the first butterfly of the season, and I am so happy. I saw a yellow butterfly with black markings. I don't think it was a monarch, but seeing the first yellow butterfly of the season just makes me happy. So, because yellow butterflies are a big thing in the region that I live. So it just made my day to see a yellow butterfly, and yeah, wanted to share that with all my butterflies. I also call it a kaleidoscope because that's what happens when butterflies land or take off in a group, and that's how I imagine you guys coming to watch my videos as you flutter on down or flutter off, that you're all coming together to watch this. So I am grateful that you are here. And as I said, we are talking blanket, and specifically my blanket that I have been making based off of my birth year. So if you've been around for a minute, you know I like temperature blankets. And specifically, I like doing them in cotton, and I like doing the linen stitch square temperature blankets. I like doing just the normal one. This one I've done a little differently, so I've been playing with it. And I'm going to talk through that a little bit. I'm going to show you how I'm putting it together and how I'm making some decisions with that. But I have just finished weaving in all the ends on all the squares, which y'all know I hate weaving in ends. But the way that I join is also a join as you go method. So as I put these squares together, it is going to not require any more weaving in ends, other than like taking care of anything that comes out when I wash the blanket. But I wanted to get on here and show you this, and then by the end you will see the finished product. Um, for those of you who've been around, you know I have been using. I love this cotton by Hobby Lobby. Um, I absolutely love it. It doesn't pull like most 100% cottons does. It's a cotton made in Turkey. I love the colorways that they get. Um, and I designed this blanket out of all of my favorite yarns that they have in that obligatory yarn. Bingo. Um, in the in this yarn. So deep purple is my favorite color. I love deep purple, so I'm using that as the center and the edging. But I also use that as in some of the temperature squares. Then I did um, teal, or they call it turquoise, depending, or denim jeans, depending on. Um, I think it's teal, but it's the lighter blue gradient. I used Paris and June, which is a blue, yellow, and white variegated yarn. Love it. It's beautiful. I could use that. I will use that in probably any project I do blanket wise. Um, Second yawn. Also, if you are new here, I do have a chronic illness, and part of that is one of the. It's an called autoimmune autonomic sensory small fiber neuropathy, and one of the autonomic parts is that yes, I can cause just um, reflexive yawns, so I can't control that. But I do apologize if that's a little bit much for you. Um, I used Rosey II, pink, blue, and green. It's a variegated yarn that they just call it pink, blue, and green. Which honestly, if I was going to label it something, I would call it summer fun. If it was me, honestly. Then there's Harvest Hues. That is a red, pink, yellow, orange variegated that looks like a sunset. Bruschetta, which is um, the deep burnt orange, burnt sienna, which is the deep red, gold, which is a deep um, antique yellow color, cinnamon cedar, which is one of my favorite variegateds because it's got yellow, it's got green, it's got red, it's got like a smoky gray um, in it, and it's just, I would call it a fall, late summer color yarn. Love it. Um, there's Orchid, which is the pale purple, Sunsetting, which is a purple, brown, burnt orange, and pale blue variegated with white yarn. Deep teal, which is a very deep teal, and forest green. Um, and I'm going to do the final yarn count of how much yarn it took to make this blanket. Um, I don't remember if I said it already or not, but for this blanket in the planning stage, I wanted something bigger than just a 3x4 blanket. So I made a 4x5. So I had the 12, because it is a temperature blanket, I made 12 squares based on the temperatures of every day of the year, starting on the day of my birth. Um, and I'm not going to say what that is on here. Or, well, I will say it's August 7th. I won't say what year, but I started with the um the first day of August 7th, and I went through to August 6th of the next year. So, and then like I said, I did 12 squares that was just based on the dates. Now, what I did and what I always do with my temperature blankets, if you're new, is I go through and I write down the date and the temperature for that date um, based on the archive highest recordings typically. Like I did in this one, I did the highest. And so I go down and write the date, and then I write an initial of like the yarn that I'm using for that particular temperature next to it. So it's so much easier to just go through and go, okay, this one without having to flip back and forth between my temperature scale. Part of doing your initial work is figuring out your temperature scale and how you need to break it down. I always end up starting with like just a generalized increments of 10 and then counting up how many temperatures fall in that. And then I break it down even more to however many colors I'm going to use. In this one, I used 14 colors. And so um, I went and I tried to use 7 cool colors and 7 warm colors. And so to kind of give it a blend. Um, but then again, once I figured all that out, went through and figured out once I figured out my temperature ranges, went through and put my whatever my particular abbreviation was for that yarn next to it, and I did that all the way through the year, so that way um I could figure it out. I personally like to have a center, so it almost looks like a window pane. So I put 2 rows of the border edge, which is the purple, in the center, and then depending, and then again, your days are 30, 31, or 28, or 29, depending on what your February has. And to give you a picture, so like this is the first square and temperature square, and so in the center, I did 2 of the purple. And then if it was a 31 month, it ended up having, I decided to make a total of 37 for rows total. So there's 2 in the center and then either 4 or 5 on the edge. And then, you know, whatever my middle was. So I had thought about putting a number or stitching on whatever month it was done at the one of the edging pieces, and you need at least 4 rows for that, which is why I kind of went with the um 37 rows count. However, as I was making this, I decided I really didn't want a number even in the center of this blanket, or I didn't want it to do stitch on what month was what month. I just wanted to have the squares. So I'm going with just the plain squares. But like I said, I did do 37 rows total for each square. Um, and then I also, so that left me with my 12 squares. And then for my additional 8, I ended up creating them. And in a few seconds, I will walk you through the created squares. I'm now going to show you um, fairly quickly in a short clip all of the 12 temperature based squares, and then you will see me walk through our design squares and how I came up with the designs for those. And then I'm going to bring you back on and we are going to walk through how I'm going to put it together, like in what order I'm going to put it together. And then I'll come back on and show you the finished product once I'm done. So I am going to get off. This next little clip that you're going to see is me flipping through all of the different temperature based squares. Then you'll see a clip of me coming back on and talking, like I said, and we will go from there. And then I will come back on and show you kind of and walk you through my thought process of how we're putting these together. All right, I'll see you in just a bit. So, in making my overall birth year blanket, I wanted to make it bigger than the normal 3x4 squares, which is a kind of a twin size blanket. It is a 3x4. I wanted to make a slightly bigger blanket of a 4x5, and so I'm adding 8 different squares. These 8 squares are the ones that I designed, and so this is using the same yarns that I used in the rest of the blanket, but I am doing individual squares that I created the designs for. So this is the first one. So I really like what's the blue, yellow, white yarn, which is called Paris in June. And in one of my other squares, there was a couple of rows where it had the dark green, forest green next to it. And I really liked that. So I wanted to do one whole square that way just to see how it would come out. And I really like that. It's almost like an optical illusion square, which I really like. I think it's really pretty. And so that is the Paris and June square. Next up, I wanted to do kind of like a gradient fade or from the different colors. So I started with my dark purple as always, and then I did dark green, then our deep teal, the denim or turquoise fading color, and then into our Paris and June again. Yarn bingo. So then a couple, several rows of Paris and June, and then I did what's called Harvest Hues, which is this red, blue, yellow color, and I alternated rows with gold, Rosey II, and then what is this one called? This is burnt sienna. The red is burnt sienna, but I can't remember what the orange is called. But I did this slow grade fade on this one. I think that turned out really good. I kind of played with that and it turned out pretty cool. And then we'll do that one last. Then there's a yarn called Sunsetting. I'm going to move this back just a little bit. You can see these better. But this one, so there is a yarn that they call sunsetting, and it has this like the burnt orange, um, a brown, a purple, and a blue faded into a white cotton. And so I did this square because I wanted to do a whole square of that, but I also added a little bit of the burnt orange, um, and then also um, the orchid or the pale violet color here. So I kind of interspersed those every couple of rows into the sunsetting yarn, and I thought it turned out really pretty. It's almost like a Navajo color, and I could see doing like a Navajo blanket with that yarn, or even like a Navajo themed sweater with that cotton. So it turned out really pretty, and I really like the way it works up. Um, Next up, because it was a very hot year, and I am an August baby, so I wanted to do a mix of these two yarns because I did try to balance some of these design squares so that there would be some balance to it overall, because there is some balance with the actual temperature squares. But on this one, I want it to be very summer. So I wanted to use the deep teal, and I wanted to use the blue, green, pink yarn. And it turned out really pretty. Like, is that not summer? Is that not summer in a square? I thought that turned out really good. So that is the deep teal and the blue, pink, green yarn square. And up close, just to show you a little bit more. Yeah, turned out amazing. And then I wanted to do a fall themed square, um, and use all of the solid fall colors. So I used the orange, the yellow, the red, the deep teal, the forest green, and I created this one. Is that not kind of cool? One, I didn't intend for it to kind of have the like geometric thing, but it turned out really cool. But I love the colors together. It just feels like fall. I don't know what it is about having a deep teal color thrown in next to like your typical fall colors, but I love it. Next up, so this is, I was playing around with my striped yarns and then pairing them with solids. And so on this one, it starts with our deep orange, and then we go into one of my favorite yarns, which is the cinnamon cedar. And then I did um, the burnt sienna, and then I did more of the sunsetting, and then I did forest green, more of the cinnamon cedar, and then the gold. And so I kind of did all of that together, and I thought it turned out really good as well there. And then I wanted one that was kind of, because I have another square that temperature wise kind of turned out like this. I wanted to mix some of the summer and some of the fall colors together. So what I did on this one is I started with the um, orchid color, and then I did a few rows of cinnamon cedar, and then I transitioned into orchid again, followed by Paris and June, gold, more Paris and June up here. Then I did the burnt orange. Then I did sunsetting and more of the burnt orange. And that's not the color name it uses, but I cannot remember what it's called off the top of my head. But yeah, I did this kind of like mixture of summer and fall colors, and I thought that turned out really cool on that one. And then the final square, which is a lot of fun, which is why I've been saving it for last, is that I did a mix of all of the leftover yarns. So I had a bunch of smaller pieces of rolls of my yarn, and so I just did a big mosaic of all of the yarns I had left. So forest green, um, blue, pink, green, Rosey II, the denim turquoise blue, Paris and June, uh, burnt orange, orchid, deep teal, the burnt sienna, more of the blue, pink, green, sunsetting, gold, more of Rosey II, and then more of the Paris and June, and then forest green. But I did all of that, and that was the last one. And like I said, that was fun because it had just so many different flavors of yarn in it. And each one of these squares that I did that were um, designed, I did 4 that were 31 rows of like color, so 31 rows of this, and then which left with 4 rows of edging, or I did ones that were 30 in through here, 30 rows through here, and 5 rows of edging, like this one. And so I did 4 of 5 edging rows and 4 of 4 edging rows. And I did that to kind of balance with the rest of the blanket, because the rest of the blanket, except for February, has either 4 or 5 rows of edging. And so those are my design squares. I've already showed you my temperature squares, and now we're going to get into what it looks like. You're going to see a little montage of me joining everything together, and then I'm going to show you the finished products. Oh, there will be one little segment of me showing you how I put the squares together, because unlike other temperature blankets, I didn't really feel necessarily of like doing them the months in order. And so I figured out what squares I wanted temperature wise together. And then I went back and like worked on adding in my design squares. And so you'll see that here in a minute. All right, guys, so here is the layout of the 3x4 of the temperature squares. I had already worked on kind of based on just what I liked next to each other, kind of played with it and gotten what I've got in order. Now we get the fun part of what are we going to add where. So the first up is the square that, I'm trying to show this here, has my come on, has my whatchamahoochit, the one of every color. And I think actually what I'm going to do for that one, we're going to slide this way. Two, three. And we're going to put this one here. I kind of like those colors, I think, with the other colors in the row and what's around it. I like the way that that sits. All right. This next one is one that has more oranges in it. Is my like springy summer one. And I actually feel like it kind of goes on the end of this row. So we go from here, those two are next to each other, on down like that. Now then, let's see what looks like it would balance well in that row. Actually, this is the perfect row to put Mr. Summer in. And I think I actually want to put it in between these two. Now, as you can tell, my space is not big enough to really do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this one up in half so I can get a better, so I still can see it. I'm going to fold this one up in half And then I'm going to put this here. And I like, because that's got purples, but that's got a lot of blue, the blue in it, and that has a lot of blue, and I think it looks really good, especially in conjunction with what's below and above it as well. And that's what I'm kind of looking at too as I do this, like what's balancing each other out, kind of thing. Um, and then in this kind of orangey pinky row, I think this would be a really good row to put my full full autumn one in. And I think I want to keep, I think I want to keep that one there. So I want to put this one here. So we've got, so now I get to look at height, which is going to be fun. So I still have, let's put this one. Actually, do I want to put them all in their own row, or do I want to put these in separate? Actually, no, I think I want to put these in separate ones. Um, mm, okay, this one's going to be a little bit more interesting. So I'm trying to figure out where to put this one, that one, and this one. And actually, I think what I'm going to do there is I am going to put this one on the end of this row. So it may be 4 deep this way, but to get the colors together like I like them, that may be what happens. I think um, because this one has more so I did that one because it kind of balances out the full fall, and there's kind of like a middle fall in this, and I like that row together. Um, this next row kind of has like more of the purples and the blues and the pinks, and so I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one in, and we are going to do it on the end down here where it kind of bookends that. Maybe not. Maybe, actually, no. See, there's a lot of orange in that. But if I put it down there, which I do think it would go because those are oranges and they play on each other, but then that moves this down, and this goes here, and this comes here. This would go here, and that would go there. And I actually kind of like that. because it balances out that row, and I think it does balance well enough because this has pink in it, but it's not quite the same pink as here. So I do think it kind of balances out, and because it has so much dark blue or deep teal, it has kind of balances out that one as well. So that leaves me with 2. And the way we're going, it needs to go in the next top 2 rows. So let's see here. Very easily, I'm going to put this one because to kind of counterbalance and like that. And this, I'm going to put the color fade one on the end of this one. I think that would kind of help balance it because you got these 2 more pinky ones in kind of the center. Now, here comes the fun part. Am I going to put this one here or on the end? Actually, you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to put this down here, move this here, and put this one here in the center. Because it kind of, again, we're talking about balancing. So we'll have the color change into these. We'll come down to that one, into that. Then we've got that one, there, 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 and there, 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 and there. Now, I know that's kind of hard to visualize right now because 1, it's hard to get high enough to get everything in the frame, but 2, also to show I don't quite have the space to lay this blanket out because it's huge. I will measure it once I get it all together, but I will come back and talk to you guys about how much yarn I used, kind of the time frame it took me, and show you the finished product. See you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and all my butterflies, it is reveal time. Now, this blanket is huge, and I do mean huge. So it's going to take just a second to do this because I had to go get a step stool so I could be up high enough so you could see this. I'm still not entirely sure it's going to be big enough, so I'm actually going to move you back just a little bit so that hopefully you guys are able to see everything on this one. Let's see, let's angle it just a bit more that way. I do think you need to see a little bit more down, so just bear with me. I've angled and tried to re-angle this thing several times. But yeah, I think that'll work. Maybe I'll just move the step stool this way. But we are going to show you the big and lovely birthday blanket. All right, let's go. Now, because of my balance issues, I'm going to do this slowly. But oops, I got it in the wrong direction. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Like I said, guys, it's huge. But it is so pretty. And I love it. And in case you can't see the bottom, I'm going to raise that up too. Yeah, this is my birth year blanket, all in lovely cotton and with my 8 extra design squares. And I love you guys, my butterflies, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. And guys, we are back. So if you can't tell from the wardrobe change, we are not back in April when I filmed the rest of this video. We are in June when I'm doing the final follow-up that I tried to and wanted to do multiple times, but I had a really bad flare in recovery and slowly the energy has come back. So here we are. So welcome back. I am coming on to talk about just cost and kind of tips and tricks that I think would be really helpful if you're going to make a similar blanket. One, I made this blanket out of I Love This Yarn by, or I Love This Cotton by Hobby Lobby. Sorry, guys. And the yarn actually went through a price change really close to the time I started making this blanket. So I'm going to give you the cost of the blanket if I bought it today, because I don't want to sell you on fake prices, or prices that were the original ones, but not what you can buy it at now. Oh, sorry, I cannot stop. I don't know why. Actually, I do. It's the Aspen, but so to make this birthday year blanket, I had to do 11 skeins of the dark purple on the edging, because I did 20 with the numbers of rows that I did on the outside of each square, plus what I needed to do the outer edge of the blanket itself. So that took 11 skeins. I ended up using 3 skeins of the teal, 4 of Paris and June, 2 Rosey IIs, 1 pink blue green, 2 harvest, 1 bruschetta, 2 burnt sienna, 1 gold, 2 cinnamon cedar, 1 orchid, 2 sunsetting, 2 deep teal, and 4 forest green. So if you're doing the math, that was a total of 38 skeins of yarn that I used to make this blanket, which, if you pay full price, would have been $189.62. Now, that said, because I do not buy yarn at full price, I always work myself to get it when it's on sale, because Hobby Lobby will have the yarn on sale for 30% every 3 to 4 weeks. Buy it when it's on sale. Do not buy, if you're going to make a blanket, do not buy yarn when it's not on sale. It's just like if I make a blanket with loops and threads, you always do it, buy it online, buy it for same day pickup, get it for same day pickup, get all the discounts, because usually there's more discounts online that you can pair together than if you buy in store. And then don't forget to use your Michael's Rewards if you do that. But with Hobby Lobby, make sure when you're buying yarn to wait till yarn is on sale unless you absolutely have to. Now, I did have to buy 1 skein when it wasn't on sale, so the total cost for me was $108.22. So to give you an idea, I saved $81.40 just by doing that. Could have saved a little bit more if I could have waited, but I was so close to finishing, I just wanted to get it done. So highly recommend buying the yarn and sale, because you see that's almost half off. Like, don't be foolish, guys. I'm trying to keep the light happy right now. We'll see. I have bought a new ring light, and hopefully it's on its way, but I am ready for this to be done. Of playing with that. So that's the cost it takes. Having made 3 of these blankets now, I do recommend leaving a long tail to weave in 2 or 3 different directions, because it will pop out when you wash it. Also, because it's cotton, no matter what you do, there is going to be a little bit of fuzzing, so just be prepared for that. Do your best to take care of it in whatever methods you have found that work best for your washer and all of that. But absolutely be careful of that. And then make sure to air dry it. Do not put it through the dryer. Do not, because it'll really fuzz it up. I'm not done that, but I've did it on a project swatch. I should probably show you guys that at some point. Yeah, I will probably do a video showing why we say air dry only on crocheted items or things, handmade things. Um, guys, if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm trying to do what I can do. Um, but yeah, so make sure you're shopping well. Um, and then four, enjoy it. Cause okay, so one, shopping well. Two, make sure that you leave enough for weaving and ends properly. Three, make sure that uh, you're taking care of it properly. And then four, enjoy it. I love that blanket. That blanket is amazing. It is the most comfortable, like will put me to sleep instantly blanket. I highly recommend, if you've not used cotton and blankets before, start doing it. It'll be on point. So highly recommend. And that's just kind of the wrap up of what it does to make one of these birth year plus blankets. I hope you have a really good week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.